Hey guys, I'm down here in Melbourne, Victoria. I've got something pretty special behind me. I'm going to show you around this morning. It's Flash Motorsport. We've got some amazing builds, both tarmac, gravel rally, something that's really my forte. So let's go inside and meet the owner. Gordon! Hey, here he is. Hi, mate.
How you going? You good?
Good. How long you had the setup here? It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, I've been here now 3 years, over 3 years.
Yeah,
so I'm
awesome.
Pretty established now, so yeah, flat out.
There's no skid marks on the floor.
No.
Keep a pretty tidy shop.
This is it. Keep it tidy like the work.
Yeah, good. I like it. I like
Out
it.
the front might be a different story.
How about we start with this one? Is this a finished build? It looks pretty much rally ready.
This is actually an Ian Hill built car. If you don't know Ian Hill, pretty much a guru here in Australia for building cars. 2-time Alpine winning driver. But he's built this car, Rotary Escort, gravel spec. So,
got the forest flares.
Yeah, 13-inch as
Yep.
opposed to the 15-inch. It's very sort of...
So it'd be full classic regs.
It's like I'd call it an Aussie spec historic, because we wouldn't run that style of rear end in it. We'd run an Atlas. This is like a Bog Warner in the back of this, which obviously we wouldn't get overseas.
BDG.
BD, yeah, I'll pop it open. Yeah, BD with a Synchro Box ZF.
Yeah.
So you dog leg first. Gravel car, so she's clean, but she's a...
And you do like rally maintenance on a car like this?
This car's, it's actually the customer's he's lucky enough to have a few different cars. So with this customer, he's got back into rally, and I help him with the testing, actually at events as well, doing packages, you know, for doing the Victorian Rally Championship rounds. Yeah, like I say, he's lucky enough to have a few builds, so this might come on the market for sale. But it's just, he's really, you know, meticulous and keeping on top of everything, just checking everything over after testing on events.
So that's basically a rally-ready, finished prep car. But over here, there's something that looks like bare metal. How about we go check out where it all starts?
Yeah, for sure.
This looks awesome in the bare metal and see all your welding and fab work. A car like this, has it come to you as a bare rusty shell, or is it like one of those brand new build shells that they can sell now?
This is an Australian delivered car. They're getting a bit thin on the ground now for sure after, you know, years of people exporting them overseas.
So a car like that now comes to you as maybe it's got a bit of rust in a sill here or there. You can cut all that out and do all the fab work right from the start.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a bit of a model, a bit of a talk with the customer at the start. Full strip and sandblast to see what you're up against. You know, you'd never know until it's blasted. 99% of the time down here in Australia with the shells, the problem is not the actual rust like you get in the UK. It's bad previous repairs.
Yeah, okay.
With behind the bog or the filler, it's still corroding and eating away behind it.
I remember when we peeled the paint off the roof of my 1600 Datzilla, there was 7 layers of paint. So you'd get a lot of that.
And another thing you'll get over here is, compared to the UK, is the hail. So a lot of hail damage on the roofs.
Just because they're so thin.
Yeah, but this, to be fair, I never sandblast the roofs because you'll stretch them out because they're just how thin it is.
Just warp the panel.
Yeah, warp for sure. So that always gets left on every single build I do, and that'll just get buzzed back with a DA at the end when it goes for the final epoxy seal. But yeah.
I can see a lot of work's gone on in this engine bay and Diamond Millington series. That's a serious engine, especially to see something like that in Australia is pretty awesome because these engines haven't been about much over here, but we're starting to see them pop up quite a bit now, and especially through the Snapchats you send me. I'm always a bit excited about these engines. So how do you go about getting an engine like that to Australia?
First of all, you've got to have deep pockets. You'd have to contact the boys at Millington in the UK, obviously. And then they're made to sort of order. There is a waiting list. It's not an off-the-shelf part. Every engine's numbered, build number, and there's options of CC depending what size you go to. Now they're sort of getting up there. This is a 2.5, so sort of 345 horsepower naturally aspirated, can go all the way up to 360.
That's at the flywheel?
Yeah, for sure. When you get them, you're putting in the order, and I don't know what the lead time is, but you're probably sort of 6, maybe month minimum, I think.
And you've got used to fitting that style of engine into the front end. Like I say, there's not a lot of room here, but from my limited experience of building a car, you want the engine as far back as you can and a good cooling capacity.
Yeah, so the sort of double-edged sword is you want the weight as far back as possible, obviously, but then for it to still be serviceable, the car, so you can take the tranny out. And obviously, the further back you get the motor, it means a thicker core radiator, a bigger radiator you can put in the front of them, especially over here, you'd be competing in, it wouldn't be rare to be competing in 35 degrees plus.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, especially in an Alpine or something like that in December.
This will run that's another controversial.
It is in Australia. It's getting more common, I see.
In Australia, you're not allowed to run an air scoop, even though it's 35 degrees and the engine bay temperature is about 350.
I don't need an air scoop just for me today.
I know it's 35 here today. So.
And there's some pretty serious strengthening that goes on that you must do at the start, I'm guessing, before the engine and everything goes in.
Yes. So
you put the car in like a spit, do you?
Yeah, just full rotisserie. So once it's blasted, Escorts have got the sort of soft spots, like the firewall, the bulkheads, or whatever you want to call it. So that gets straight away strengthened up. They've got the bad spot at the factory here. They have a heater plenum, like a heater bowl here with a blower motors factory. Yep. And they've got a grill that sits on top where the wipers come out and the water just sits.
I was going to say, is that the same thing happens in the 1600?
Is it? Yeah, okay.
So if you've got one of these cars in storage at home, it'd pay to pull that off and clean it out.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a nightmare because they're spot welded all the way around and it's all welded on. But on certain builds, and it's become quite popular actually, is deleting the heater bubble and then doing a custom sheet metal infill for your Tilton or whatever reservoir to sit in there.
Some of your photos online, you actually have a carbon fibre mould then that goes over. Yeah, that was very trick. And then the cage itself, is this something you do from the start, or you work with someone else's cage and put it in? How do you go about that?
So this is actually a custom cages kit, T45. Yeah. So I'm a certified welder for custom cages. Yeah, for custom cages for doing their installs. Mm-hmm. So this is a massively sort of uniform cage to be put in an Escort.
How do you go about when you're working out your seat fitting? Obviously, if you get a cage that's built to be in the car, how soon do you want the customer to sit in the seat and figure out, where to be positioned with your pedals and so on?
So ultimately, first step would be cage in. Regardless, that has to be done to specs and regulations, so that's a non-negotiable. Yeah. Everything else from then on to compromise. Obviously, the smaller the driver, the better. And then what you can actually do on some of these builds is start centralizing things. So you actually, an Escort factory, the driving position, I don't know if it's like a Datsun.
They're always on an angle.
You're doing these ones, so you can start squaring up everything, center line your car.
I love some of the work you do, like your own little logo here in the boot and stuff like that.
So this is all like sort of extras, but not. This is like a rebated boot floor, so you can keep your center of gravity down low for the spare wheel, and also if you want to run a double spare, gives you a little threshold for the double stack.
That'd be what, dry sump tank?
Dry sump tank base there.
Fuel pumps?
Fuel pump set up there, and then rebate for the top of the diff. Yep. For when it's on full bump. And then that's actually a scallop out of the raised boot floor for the curved fuel tank.
So that rear end being 6 links, pretty extreme. You've got some other cars over here. Is there different levels of builds that you do, or are they all sort of as extreme as that?
Nah, definitely not. So just whatever somebody's sort of budget is. Obviously there's a minimum budget, but there's different specs of Escorts that can be built. You can do sort of like a Group 4, like a generic Group 4, which hasn't changed since the 80s, which is just your turret and rear tubs.
So that's had tubs but kept the standard floor with a tunnel?
Yeah, so factory floors, just with some of the actual old school Group 4s never actually run a big tub, and they just put the turret in there. Yeah. But this will run a 15-inch tub with a turret. Some of the Group 4s don't even run a big tranny tunnel, they'll just put an extension on there. So
this would be a lot more room without a cage.
Yeah,
It looks like a big car until you put the jungle gym in there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like this would be called like a Group 4 plus. That's what I personally call it, where it's Group 4 basics, but with the extras of putting like an exhaust tunnel in, raised prop tunnel, diff tunnel, transmission tunnel. This is going to be a very healthy spec shell. I mean, and that's the packages I can offer. You know, if you're real handy on the tools, you know, really comfortable doing your own mechanical and stuff, and just you're not too handy with the welder, or you just don't have time, or you don't want to invest in the tooling to be doing the fab work. Yeah. You know, I've done builds in the past where somebody provides a shell, I'll do all the fab work, cage included if they want to be, dry blast the whole shell, and then epoxy primer it, and then hand it back, and you'll do the rest yourself from home.
When we built my Datsun, I got it sandblasted and it realised it was probably too far gone. I probably should have chucked it in the bin and found a better shell. I think that's probably a mistake that people should hear about now. Because the car had a bit of history and I wanted to use that shell obviously and save it. But if you're starting from scratch, you really want to search out, because you'll spend a lot of money repairing rust. Well, like a car like that doesn't look like one of your custom cages. So is that a car that's basically been a rally car, it's been stripped down and they're giving it a transformation, or how's that come about? Yeah,
this is actually, this actually used to do a fair bit of rallying with an old school sort of setup in it. I think it used to run an English axle on it, 2-litre Pinto, but it's actually come into the shed and he's making it a bit more of a modern, like he's gone for the fuel injected Duratec in it, he's put the bigger rear end in it. So it's sort of been a bit more modernised, and it is going to stay on the gravel.
So the Duratec, there's a couple of cars here with the Duratec now, and we ran one in the Mazda 2 and the ARC, a really strong engine, but quite a lot more affordable than something like a Millington, aren't they? And still big torque and power.
For me, bang for buck. The aftermarket support on these things and the power you can get out of them is incredible.
Most of these are Mark II Escorts, aren't they? I can see over there, is that a Mark I Escort?
That's a Mark I. That's the first of the Escorts.
Could we take a look at that? Because that's quite a bit different to the Mark IIs, is it? Or they're very similar? I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, it's similar, same floor pan and stuff, but a very different outside looking. This is going to be like a restomod, is what they call it. You know, like a street car.
Oh, right.
But the main thing is what's going under the bonnet is a 20B rotary, so something a little bit different.
So it's not a Dazda, a Mazda engine in the Datsun. What do we call that? A Fazda.
So Atlas rear end, 6-link rear end, but with a RX-7 gearbox in it. Yeah. But like just a real nice.
So there's no real limits to what you can do.
Yeah, no, it's a bit just whatever the customer wants.
Yeah, right, okay. So we go from that, you know, raw metal phase. I can see the car there over beside us has been painted.
Yep.
What's the steps to go from fab work to then prepping the car to be painted?
My way is dry build.
Yeah.
Everything.
Completely build the car.
Car's
so
done.
That car would be fully assembled.
On the ground, suspension on it, everything checked, every mounting, you know, like some people don't. All the best, no worries, but the amount of things and the level that you can come out with on the other side, if you go down to even put routing for where the loom and the lines are going to go, the finish on the end of it is just going to be far superior. It's
next level, isn't it? How about we jump over this car before we go and touch on the masterpiece that you've nearly finished? Bit like Datzilla here, mate. I'd seen some Escorts running LED headlights before I chose to put them on my car. We're just having a chat when the cameras are off. It's a little bit of a controversy thing you said over in Europe compared to Australia. We're all running them here, but you don't see it overseas much.
Look, I'll not lie. When I first saw them, I thought, "What is that? These boys are running on these cars." It was, I don't know if back in the day, when I was younger, everyone was going through that stage of like angel eye headlights on cars, and it just got flooded the market and all the Chinese stuff that was going around. So it put me off them, and then I've got to admit, over time, they've started growing on me. And it is a very Australian thing, I reckon.
So like my car, the halo on the outside there, you can run that on the Parkers or just on the ignition startup. So I run that all the time.
Yeah.
My idea was it's another sponsorship thing that I can target to get a light sponsor.
Yeah, okay, yep.
For that, and I just think it looks cool coming through a dark forest. And mine's, you know, more of a modern,
yeah, for sure,
club rally car build.
Yeah,
But I think if I did a classic
Yeah.
or historic rally car build, I'd want the old style lights. But
they are
something unique to do to your own car, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they are a good bit of kit, and also I don't know about the Datsuns, but the Escorts, the factory headlights are shocking.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're
a lot of people run their aircraft landing lights in the Datsun because they're 5 3/4, or these are 7-inch?
Oh, the 7-inch one.
7-inch, yeah. So like GU Patrol and things, they're the same as they're really easy to get. Because the Datsun, you got to run a Harley Davidson. That's what I had to do anyway to make them fit for my car. But a motorbike headlight's really average. Yeah, so my light's so steady are actually doing some prototype ones for me, which will be really cool.
These, you mentioned yours ones at the Park. I'm pretty sure on this one, maybe a different brand, can be Parker and indicator too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this isn't actually a Flash Motorsport build. I've just got the assembly work of it.
It looks Flash.
Yeah.
Carbon. And
No, don't get me wrong. In its own right, this car it is very, very healthy. You know, it's running the SADF sequential, strong Duratec again.
Gravel build.
This is a Tarmac car. Tarmac car. Running 15-inch, full floating rear end. But
so this would be Tarmac Rally though, not circuit.
Yeah, no, Tarmac Rally.
Yep.
But this is a bit of a talking point is over in Australia, you guys love Hilux axles.
Yeah, you hear of that a lot.
And it's controversial subject. Some people say they're better, some people say they're not. But for what they can do with these Hilux housings, make them fully floating, put big strong diffs in them, they are a pretty cool bit of kit.
Even my Datsun 1200 Ute, Hilux diff.
Is it?
It's just so common in Australia to do that.
Yeah, everything gets a Hilux diff. So this is running Hilux diff, like I say, SADF sequential and Duratec in it. But this build sort of morphed. It went from being like a purist Duratec on carbies to then fuel injected GMVs, and it got the sequential, and then it's got to the point where it's at now. This car is all running and everything. It's in the final, hang the doors, do some bits and pieces, and it's done.
How do you go, tall fella like you, climbing in through the cage over there, not having back doors?
Yeah, well, this is the struggles, and like we touched on earlier, with the modern style seats and the modern style cages, you're not getting in, but a bit of a development with a mate of mine, and come up with an aftermarket frame and removable rear windows, which just makes life
That's a no-brainer, isn't it?
So much easier.
I see it on the Fiesta World rally cars. I'm not sure what the Puma has, where they used to remove it. It's such a good idea. So that's a walk around all of these cars, and I really want to check out this special car up on the hoist, move some things around the workshop. So we'll finish that video there, and how about we make a separate video on that car, because I think that's going to be pretty special.
Yeah, it's a little bit of something.
Let's check it out.